The release of GTA 4 and 5 was mighty important, not only for their developer, Rockstar North, but for the entire gaming industry as well, since they would go on to be the fastest selling entertainment products of all time, though they also stirred up a lot of controversy. In today's video, let's find out about the history of the HD universe of GTA games, which includes GTA 4, GTA 5, GTA Online, and Chinatown Wars. And this is the last and final episode of the three-part video series on the controversial rise of GTA games. In previous episodes, I have laid out the history of 2D and 3D universes. After the release of GTA San Andreas, work on GTA 4 commenced in November 2004. Rockstar North now had 220 employees. Yet, in the words of producer Sam Houser, working on a sequel to San Andreas was proving to be a nightmare. How do you surpass your own masterpiece? That's why Rockstar Games pulled out all stops and involved multiple studios under its name, with over 1,000 people contributing to the making of the game. As there was a quantum leap between GTA 2 and GTA 3, the developers played on that, wanting to give the same impression going forward with another sequel. Thus, it was named GTA 5. As you might have guessed, the company was planning to pull off something enormous. If the open world wasn't the biggest, it was certainly going to be the most detailed. They chose to model it on New York City, as it was home to Rockstar Games. Developers frequently traveled to and within the city, collecting around 250,000 still and video images. These were later used by the studio to add detail to the virtual world. They recorded every dynamic of the city, from flying cars to building architecture, traffic patterns, and subways. They were assisted by local law enforcement authorities, which is quite ironic. They took help from satellite images, books, and many other sources. The primary task was to build a city around which game missions could be added. Dan Houser observed that if game graphics were being overhauled, the story would receive special attention as well. Instead of drawing inspiration from movies or TV shows, he came up with an original plot. He believed that for video games to evolve, they must rely on uniqueness and not be themed upon popular ideas. Exchanging notes with criminal experts, he created an anti-hero and portrayed him as an immigrant to the US. His past lent him a frightful look, but he didn't fancy spilling innocent blood. Thus, anyone could empathize with him, but he would need a reason to come to the US. So the character of Roman was created. For the first time, facial expressions were to be added to in-game characters, lending cutscenes a true-to-life appearance. The use of cell phones was incorporated into gameplay to reflect modern society astutely. In addition to the characters in the game, a few weirdos were also thrown into the mix. As Dan Houser felt, one often meets such crazy people in New York. Going on side missions with them allowed the player to explore every frontier of the virtual world. Deviating from its comic book style of art, the game opted for a realistic one, for which everything had to be designed from scratch. This was the first GTA game to be run on new generation consoles, so the developers were planning to go big. Their new Rage engine was to be put to use this time, which would render gameplay more realistic. As such, all animations were being constructed anew. Consequently, role-playing elements from San Andreas, such as working out and taking meals, were all left out. Otherwise, the work would have become monumental. Different outcomes for player choices were included, such that the game did not seem linear in progression, and players could experience new directions upon revisiting game missions. Likewise, the aiming system, driving, and open-world physics were all developed from binary. According to Leslie Benzies, creating the multiplayer mode proved to be the toughest challenge since it was to hold 32 players at once. Going at it in co-op or competitive matchmaking, all these ran up a cost of $100 million, making it the most expensive video game to develop. At the 2006 Gaming Expo E3, Peter Moore of Microsoft announced the game's upcoming release by revealing a tattoo of the game on his upper arm. It was supposed to come out in 2007 but was later pushed back to 2008, and Activision could leave a sigh of relief since their Modern Warfare game was scheduled to release later that year. Promotional campaigns for GTA 4 began in earnest, with game trailers and television commercials cropping up. They even put out wanted posters for GTA thugs around New York City, and entire buildings were covered in murals featuring promotional art for the game. It smashed all records upon release to become the highest-selling entertainment product. collecting $310 million in sales on the first day and $500 million by the end of the first week. Reviewers touted it as revolutionary and a benchmark for other open-world games, with some even going on to say it had flipped the gaming landscape. The virtual city, AI, depth of its story, and free-to-roam gameplay received lavish praise. Metacritic awarded it a rating of 98 out of 100, making it the second highest-rated game. The first place has been occupied forever by 1998's Legend of Zelda. Anyway, its protagonist, Nico, was also well received by players, who would relate to the character and appreciate his difficult choices in life. But where on one end the game was bringing in awards, controversies were stemming on the other. Journalists and government officials had long denounced GTA as a murder simulator, but this time it was alleged that the game encouraged drunk driving. Some crimes following its release were attributed to the game, and the staunch deprecator of the game, Jack Thompson, was filing one lawsuit after another against its parent company, Take-Two Interactive. Apart from these, the actor Michael Hollick, who provided the voice and motion capture of Nico, expressed censure that he had received a remuneration of only $100,000. This was paltry compared with 25 million copies worth of sales. For the craze revolving around GTA 4, Hollywood actors would have easily charged millions of dollars. Not only Michael, but employees at Rockstar weren't too happy either. It was nice to find people cherishing their work, but they had to toil 12 hours a day without any leaves to bring it to light. Along with the announcement of GTA 4, Microsoft teased the release of 2 expansion packs, further widening the GTA 4 universe. They had paid Rockstar Games a sum of $50 million for The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony, which came out in 2009. Dan Houser said that they show a different side of Liberty City. They tell the exploits of Johnny Klebitz and Luis Fernando Lopez in GTA 4. These were lauded as well, since they addressed some recognized drawbacks of GTA 4, such as motorcycle mechanics. In fact, Gay Tony was described as the coolest LGBT character in video games, but even that could not evade controversy. Some online groups reported this edition to be even more controversial than GTA 4, as it featured male nudity. In the same year, GTA Chinatown Wars was released for the Nintendo DS. It was developed by Rockstar Leeds. The game follows the story of Huang Li, a member of the Chinese Triads, who travels to seek out his father's stolen sword. It offers players the unique ability to interact with game objects, making it ideal for smartphones and the DS. It garnered a lot of acclaim, going on to become the highest-rated DS game with a 93% rating. But one of its mini-games sparked a lot of controversy, as it allowed players to buy and peddle drugs within the game. People raised concerns that it promoted drug trafficking. Shortly after the release of GTA 4, development began for GTA 5. The revolutionary hard-hitting had been done by its predecessor. All it had to do was follow up on feedback and subsequently come up with a better version. Similar to GTA 4, the developers introduced 3 protagonists, for whom auditions were conducted, and Ned Luke, Stephen Ogg, and Sean Fonteno were selected. Drawing from their experience working on games like Max Payne 3 and Red Dead Redemption, they brought the gameplay and shooting to par, and tweaked in-game driving as per feedback to appeal to all. A new version of the Rage engine was being used this time, which allowed for greater draw distance in addition to Euphoria, and bullet engines were used for animations and open-world physics. The real labor lay in designing the city. This time, the developers chose to model it after Los Angeles and made regular trips to the city. They also took the help of Google Maps to study the layout and census data to grasp its demographics. Documentaries based on the city were also reviewed to lend context. More than 1,000 employees were engaged, and the total budget, including marketing, was estimated to be around $265 million, which meant it had once again proved to be the costliest video game production at the time. Since the game was announced in 2011, it has been hyped about on the internet, and GTA had become a familiar name in households by then. To promote the game, the developers built the Epsilon program website, offering users the chance to be featured in the game. Finally, upon release in 2013, it would become the most selling entertainment product of all time, earning $1 billion within the first 3 days, and it was the 5th highest rated game on Metacritic. Some reviewers described it as one of the best games ever made. Gameplay and the multiple protagonist design were largely appreciated, as they lent unpredictability to game missions, increasing the number of times one could repeat them without losing interest. In 2014, it was released for new generation consoles, wherein textures were enhanced, weather effects were added, wildlife in the game was upgraded in appearance, and draw distance was improved. Additionally, it introduced a first-person shooter mode, and before its PC release, included support for 60 FPS gaming. In 2022, an expanded and enhanced version was released with ray tracing for next-generation consoles. But then, no edition of GTA was going to be free from controversy. Committing murder and perpetrating crime were nothing new to it, but this time it carried a torture mission, wherein players had to inflict torture upon another character. Also, several journalists found the game to be misogynistic in nature, owing to its depiction of women. For example, none of the female characters were vital to the story and were rather objectified to serve context. Furthermore, the game attracted lawsuits from musicians and models who alleged the developers had put in relevant content without their consent. But perhaps even more revolutionary was GTA Online, which came out 2 weeks after the release of GTA 5. This was an online gameplay mode where up to 30 players could join a session to pull off heists and grow a business empire. In the beginning, it experienced a lot of issues, such as not connecting to online servers or player profiles getting erased. So reviewers dubbed it the most disappointing multiplayer gaming platform. But it grew better with time, and after withdrawing support for older consoles in 2015, it caught real traction. With new missions, cars, heists, and properties appearing in the game, it continues to receive updates to this day, much to the surprise of the developers, who did not feel the game would remain relevant for so long. Consequently, the DLC expansion for single players was aborted, and these days, it is revenue from GTA Online that keeps the company afloat. Leslie Benzies is credited with the design of GTA Online. The next edition of GTA is already in the works, as seen from the footage leaked in 2022. These confirm that the project is currently in development and that the game is set in Vice City, based on the actual city of Miami. They would feature 2 protagonists, named Jason and Lucia. This is going to be the first GTA game to adopt a female protagonist. So we come to the end of this trilogy, the controversial history of GTA games. I hope it was an interesting watch. Links to the previous episodes should be appearing on your screen. If you enjoyed this video, add a like and share it with your friends. See you in the next video. Till then, adios.